podcasting from sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to Tips for Tour Operators, your podcast for growth hacks, marketing tips, and actionable insights from leading experts in the tourism industry. Welcome, everybody, to the Tips for Tour Operators podcast. I'm Dustin Hoyman with Outdoor Adventure Marketing. Today, we are talking about the customer journey and how specifically a mobile device impacts that customer journey, all the way from when somebody is researching attractions and activities and tours in destination to all the way through when they're actually checking out either on their device or on their computer and what that looks like. With us today is Angela Heald from Checkfront. Angela, how are you doing?
I'm great, Dustin. Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks for joining us. I'm super excited. Checkfront is an amazing company. I've talked to a few of the people at your company, and I'm just so excited to hear what you have to say because you guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. It's because we're Canadian, isn't it?
I do have an odd love of Canadians.
Everybody seems to.
And you're on the West Coast, so I really like that even better. I love West Coast Canadians, so yeah, it's really great. That actually might be it. Cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So my professional background is actually in marketing in the tourism sector, the technology sector. But I'm a passionate traveler. So every year I make a point of experiencing one or two new destinations. And most people that know me probably would say that I never shut up about what travel means to me. So I'm one of these annoying people that say I have a dream job that's kind of the perfect intersection of my skills and my passion. And that is that I head up marketing at Checkfront, which is a technology company that serves the tourism industry.
That is really amazing. So tell me a little bit about Checkfront.
Yeah, so Checkfront is an online booking system, and we've been around since 2010. But while we call ourselves an online booking system, we're actually so much more. We developed the product to help experienced businesses in the tourism industry not only increase their online bookings, but also to streamline their operations. So when I say experienced businesses, we have such a diverse portfolio of suppliers that use Checkfront. Experienced business might include anything from whale watching, Segway tours, zip lines, scuba diving, basically all the best parts of travel. And the thing that's really wonderful about the businesses we work with is that they all seem to have this incredible origin story about how passionate they are about where they live or what it is they do. And ultimately, we get to help them grow their own online sales, make running their business easier, and they get to spend more time doing what they love.
Yeah, that's really, really awesome. And recently you guys, going back to like you guys are a technology company to some degree, you did a big study on mobile device usage and how, mobile devices were used throughout the entire, booking process. What drove you guys to, look into that?
Yeah, so many of us at Checkfront are so passionate about travel. And from our own experience, we knew that mobile bookings are important to tours and activities. I don't travel with my laptop. I like to kind of try to unplug to some extent, all except for Instagram. I love Instagram. But, we've really reached the age where you can do absolutely anything on your mobile phone. So we've been making this claim to our customers. We write content about it, saying that mobile bookings are important, but we didn't have the published data to really back that up. So we took the opportunity to look into our own data to sort of prove that idea.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And so can you walk us through some of the interesting insights that maybe you learned about the customer journey through that process?
Yeah, so without pulling any personal information, we're actually able to see some really interesting data in terms of how people have been making their bookings over time. So the first data point I would say that really caught my attention was that in 2017, almost half of all bookings were done on a mobile device, so about 44% to be exact.
Wow.
And so, not only is this information important to communicate to our customers so that they can be ready for the technological shift, but it's also really important for us to know this internally so that we ensure we're investing in developing the right features for Checkfront that will maximize sales for our customers.
Okay, that's really great. So looking at the data, you said 44% are booking on their phones. That's a huge number and probably, increasing vastly, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so mobile bookings done on mobile have increased by 49% over the last 3 years, and bookings done on desktop have decreased by 10%.
So bookings on mobile have increased 49% and decreased 10%. So people just
decreased on desktop.
Decrease on desktop, yeah.
Yeah.
So people just aren't using their laptops or desktop computers as much. How many travelers research tours on a mobile device versus research tours? So maybe not booking necessarily, but when they're actually in the research phase, what does that look like? Did you dig into that at all?
We did actually. So when we set out to sort of extract this information, we really expected to see higher bounce rates, lower conversions, and people spending less time on mobile websites versus the desktop counterpart. We all know how difficult it is to operate on that tiny little screen in your hand.
Yeah.
But what was really surprising was that we actually found the conversion rate to be higher on mobile. So 61% of mobile users created the booking and followed through all the way to confirmation, compared to just over 45% of desktop users. So while we did see that they spend less time on the website on mobile, they have higher intent to purchase than they do when they're on their desktop computers.
So from your perspective, what does that mean?
So basically, we found the customer journey to be quite different compared to other travel segments, such as flights and hotels. So with in-destination activities, most bookings are happening 1 to 7 days in advance. And there's also been a steady increase in same-day bookings. So 33% 1 to 7 days in advance, and 24% are same day in that same day booking window. So what we're seeing is that travelers are ready to book tours and activities when they're already in destination. And we think this is because there's been such a shift in the industry with the ease of access to smartphones. The development of the relationship between the smartphone user and the device. Just a few years ago, you were probably a little bit more weary about conducting online banking on your phone. And now you likely do. And that's just a few years. Our relationship with our phones have completely changed. And so this, coupled with the ability to easily get SIM cards while traveling, there's not a lot of countries left in the world where you're going to have difficulty making your phone work. And the fact that in-destination purchases are usually lower ticket items than, say, a plane ticket. This all means that travelers aren't feeling as much need to plan an entire vacation before they leave home. So they just have more confidence in their ability to access technology while in destination.
So basically it sounds like, people, and I'm definitely guilty of it. I do everything on my phone. I basically bought my car on my phone.
That's awesome.
I do all my banking on my phone. It's one of these things. I'm looking at my phone now. It's like sitting here right next to me. And it's like an intimate part of my life. It's almost like how I conduct the business of life. And so from your perspective, are you seeing, people they're doing the big purchases, you really have to plan ahead of time. So flights, hotels, they're doing that ahead of time.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, I guess you can't buy a flight after the fact, but it sounds like they're trusting in their mobile devices to somewhat guide them in destination as to what to do, while they're actually in the destination. They're trusting that device to lead them. Is that kind of what you're saying? Or are they researching ahead of time and then just booking after the fact?
So we can't really, only individual tour and activity companies can see if people are accessing their website from their destination, how long that they're doing that in advance before they book, because they only have access to their website analytics. But we do see the interesting behavior in our booking data, which is that travelers are spending more time on desktops, over 3 minutes on a website on desktop versus 2 minutes on mobile. So an average of 62 seconds shorter on a mobile device, which leads us to believe that essentially they're researching a destination beforehand on their desktop device and then booking that shorter booking window that we talked about once they get in destination.
Okay. So maybe they're looking into the options and then actually making that final decision when they're in destination.
Yeah, I have a personal anecdote. I recently just returned from a total dream trip to Scotland. And the only thing I really had booked in advance was my accommodation on the Isle of Skye. It's so popular, it books up a year in advance. It's crazy. But I traveled without a laptop. Like I mentioned, I like to stay somewhat unplugged when I'm away. And I booked most of my in-destination activities a day in advance or day of. Okay. And one main reason why I did that is because in Scotland, the weather is totally erratic. Like, you don't know if you're going to wake up to sunshine and then an hour later it's going to be like monsoon weather. So one day I woke up in true Scottish fashion. It was like there was threatening clouds, sky was really angry, and I thought it would be an ideal afternoon for an indoor tour. So I did a tour of the Talisker Whiskey Distillery, which I highly recommend to anyone that's over on the Isle of Skye. But it just gave me the freedom to sort of pivot my plans based off of how my day was going to look.
Oh, that is really interesting. I didn't think about that from a tactical perspective of, whether, if you're going to a place you just don't know what's going to happen. And that brings into an interesting question too. The flexibility a mobile device gives you. I mean, it can be, let's say you had a little bit too much fun at the distillery. Maybe
I would never, Dustin.
Maybe you didn't book the tour just yet that you were going to go on the next day. And depending on how you felt the next morning, you have that flexibility. So it really does empower the user to control their destiny a little bit better.
Absolutely. And the higher conversion rates that I mentioned on mobile also sort of show that by the time that they're on their mobile device looking, they've probably already done their research because they're ready to buy.
That's interesting.
We see that intent there.
Now you mentioned the time on site for desktop versus mobile. Mobile was a little bit quicker. How long does it take to run through the checkout process typically?
Sorry, how long does it take to run through?
The checkout process. Is the time shorter on site because they've already done the research and they're just, checking out, putting in their credit card information? Or is that maybe why it's a little bit shorter, that they're not researching?
Yeah, I mean, that we definitely believe that to be part of it, that they've already done the research and by the time they're in destination, they're ready to purchase. But also when you design your website to be mobile first, you really are looking to create things that are frictionless as possible, meaning shorter booking forms, click to call buttons, things like that, that we can talk about that make your website as mobile friendly as possible. All of that sort of lends to a much quicker checkout process.
Okay. Now, from a tour operator standpoint, if someone's researching, maybe they're researching 2 weeks in advance and then they book when they're in destination, does that cause any issues for tour operators, or have you heard of anything causing potential issues with tour operators because maybe they're not reading the details during the checkout process or like any sort of disclaimers? Is that a potential there?
Yeah, so actually the number one reason we found for a bad review is a guide not meeting expectations. So we always advocate that making expectations crystal clear is like the crucial first step, whether your booking's done on mobile or desktop. So the accessibility to the details of each tour and activity is extremely important. As an online booking system, we want the guests of our customers to have pain-free booking process, but that means putting the item details up front and then following with the easy booking flow.
Okay, very nice. So if somebody's going through the booking process, is there a way that they can help set expectations, really simply and easy up front? Like you said, make them crystal clear. What's a really good way to do that? Is it, is it a follow-up email? Is it something you do before the checkout process? What, from your recommendation, what would that be?
Yeah, so before the checkout process, it's just extremely important to be very clear in the product description. So describing very clearly what the person is purchasing. And then after the booking is completed, it's really important on that to reconfirm expectations on the follow-up. So when you're automating the invoicing, you have a chance for, to reiterate what they've purchased. When you're doing the post-booking reminders, you have a chance to let them know what they should expect a day before, a day of, pickups, drop-offs, anything like that. All of that is very important information for your guests to have.
Okay, great. So in this journey, is there anything that you saw that like popped up that just like stopped a person in their tracks as far as, they're ready to book, they're ready to go, but something just doesn't work? Is there anything in the flow that has happened before?
Yeah, so we've done a little bit of research on our end about booking fees and how that can cause cart abandonment. Now, there hasn't really been anything major published in the world of tours and activities about that, but we've seen some really good studies come out from e-commerce companies like Shopify. And pulling from Shopify's research, hidden fees are actually the main reason why shoppers abandon cart. So we believe that hidden and unexplained booking fees immediately have a consumer rethink what they're purchasing. And, further, we're firm believers of predictable costs for our customers. So that's why we at Checkfront don't charge commissions.
So that's really, just to reiterate what you said, make sure I understand, is basically like if you're looking at a tour, the tour price is, $140 to go on this, a boat tour, and you're going down the path, and then all of a sudden there's an extra, processing fee or a booking fee, ticketing fee, whatever. That's the number one reason why somebody might abandon from there?
Yes. Yeah. According to some e-commerce research. So we are actually hoping to undertake a little bit of research for the world of tours and activities in the future. So you can look out for some more data that's a little bit more specific to our niche.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting. I know that from like a concert perspective, I'm almost used to expecting some random fee at the end, and hotels are the same. There's always like a hotel fee. It's a wild card. You don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the tours and activity space is just not used to that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the bottom line is that the extra fees are they're just not a good guest experience. And we are really in the business of empowering our customers to provide the best experience possible. And that includes before, during, and after. And so, where we really come into play is before and after, and during is really up to our customers. But adding that extra fee in, especially when it's hidden and it comes in right at checkout, just sets everything off on the wrong foot.
Let's say there is some sort of, fee you have to charge for whatever reason. Maybe there's, you're in a destination that's a weird country and they have to charge like a VAT tax of some sort. Is there a way that they can, like from your perspective, maybe prep the customer for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think warnings, like we mentioned, being crystal clear with expectations, warnings in advance that this fee is incoming. And if it is something like a VAT tax, explaining that it's a government tax and not something that they're choosing to add on. And then additionally, if it's, we actually have a really great customer that's in the same city as us that charges a fee, a sustainability fee, and they actually donate that to a charity for sustainability for whale protection. And, they're very transparent with that fee up front, what it's for. I think what makes booking fees very difficult is that when you are having a fee specifically associated to booking online, you're also encouraging guests to phone, walk up, guests that are looking to avoid that fee. And you stop freeing up your staff from manning those lines, from processing those bookings over the phone or in person. They're spending far too much time doing that, and your booking system is not working for you in your business the way it should be.
I often hear a statistic that is very interesting, and that was only 20% of bookings happen online, that 80% is still happening in person. Now, without naming any major players or anything, but some of the bigger booking engines do charge commissions on the end. Do you think that these commissions have something to do with that statistic of not wanting to book online?
Absolutely, I do, especially the ones that are, specifically just associated with booking online. You're just kind of encouraging the person to either go with a competitor who's not charging that fee, or, head down, try their luck, and you're, not fixing your operations. You're dealing with big lineups. Your staff is processing those bookings in person. The whole thing with taking your business online and driving, that being your driving revenue channel, is that it frees up your time to improve your business in other ways.
That's really interesting. It is really interesting too, because you talk, quite a bit about, aligning expectations and making sure the customer has a really great experience. And I know that in our industry, it's really clear when you're saying you need to have a great experience, but a lot of times people assume that's just the tour itself. But it sounds like you're saying that it starts well before they even get to that tour, and that the checkout process and the booking process and the website is a big part of that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't want to just be that first, online booking experience to our customers. We want to actually improve their business for their guests end to end. So we want to make the booking easy for their guests, which the result of that is going to be an improvement in their business.
That's really great. So being that you've seen so many people are basically doing last minute booking, between same day or 1 and 7 days, what can a tour do to improve their process to better fit that short turnaround lifestyle?
Yeah, so I was thinking about when I'm really hungry, I get hangry, right? Get hangry, I'm impatient. What I want when I go to a restaurant's website is I want the menu and I want to know if they're open, right? So I kind of want to encourage
Before
this.
you go forward, we're
Yes.
filming this right over lunchtime. Are you hangry right now?
I'm not yet. I had a snack.
Okay,
good. Yeah. But yeah, I want to encourage the same philosophy of just decluttering for the user. That'll increase
Okay.
the number of last minute bookings as well as bookings overall, but especially the last minute bookings, the person that's like, I've got an afternoon free, I want to do something. You want to get them checked out as soon as possible.
So basically make the process as streamlined as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give them the information they want up front. Some of that includes providing a really clear CTA or call to action front and center. So a book now button or your booking calendar available right when the user comes to the website really helps with that.
Can you give us an example of maybe an activity or some sort of an attraction that that you see a lot of mistakes happen in that arena where they're just not giving a good enough information up front?
Yeah, to me, I would say museums are possibly the ones that are like, they're not focused on selling their tickets ahead of time, which they should be, because nobody wants to come and stand in line at the museum for hours. They want to go straight into the museum. Mm-hmm. And, if you land on a museum's website, they're telling you about, various exhibits and events they have coming up, all this other stuff. They're not making sure that you can buy your ticket as easily as possible as soon as you land on that website.
So from your perspective, they should basically focus their marketing, I guess, to some degree to like ease of ticket to get them in the museum, and then educate them after the fact. Is that kind of a
Yeah, it's about cutting down on the noise. So anybody that is coming last minute and wants to purchase, you should show immediately how they can do that. Anybody that's coming in and they're not ready to purchase and they're ready to look around, they're going to be more likely to click and look around and find the information that they need.
Okay. That's really
so
cool.
You're really just catering for the people that are ready to buy right now.
Yeah, I bet if you did that, your conversion rate on bookings would probably go up quite a bit.
Absolutely. And also it's really important that all websites should be developed mobile first. You working in marketing, I know you know all the SEO benefits of that. But also for mobile users, there's things you need to consider, like long booking forms are extremely tedious. I don't know if you've ever tried to fill out a really long form on mobile, but it's not a lot of fun. So minimizing your booking form to collect the details that you only need. So the bare bones details, the payment, of course, that's extremely important. Mm-hmm. And then collect additional details after the booking's been made and paid for. So we have a feature called guest forms that allows you to collect any non-essential information you have after the payment. You can send it right into their email. They can go back in at any time and fill in the forms. And that just sort of reduces friction. It's really important that you do that after you've accepted the payment.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought. Is there probably is this, to some people, this fear of trying to do a whole lot on your phone as far as filling out your address and your phone number and your email address and starting up. Now you have to create a new password. So that's really interesting. So basically stripping away everything that's not essential, only get the essentials, and then after the fact, collect everything. That's a really interesting point.
Yeah, and it's also really valuable to add an easily accessible contact method that can be clicked on a mobile device to activate. So whether it's an email, you click on it and it opens your email app, or if it's a phone number, you click on and you can phone. And that also, if anybody's running into trouble on your website booking, that allows them an immediate access to you with very little friction.
Yeah, I like that idea. Having something, if they get into any worries, just click a button, get in contact with you right away. That would definitely help.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you said something along the lines of, people they're going to go through the checkout process, have clear expectations, and sometimes those expectations are unclear, as you mentioned before. How do refunds play within that realm? Should somebody, offer refunds? Should they, somebody be able to cancel quickly if they, maybe made a mistake?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's up to each individual business owner. It's very, like I mentioned, it's very important to be clear in product descriptions. But of course, regardless of how clear you are, there's always going to be guests that book maybe a bit hastily. Maybe they're booking in advance and something else comes up. So the post-booking process is important to reduce those refund requests. Making sure that your reminders are automated, making sure that the reminders come with the information necessary to set those expectations, and also always providing an easy point of contact. Because if they don't feel like they can, get in touch with you easily, they're more likely to be frustrated and request that refund when it potentially is something that could be saved if they can easily contact you.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So everything's moving more and more towards mobile.
Yes.
So what's coming up next? What's the future of mobile bookings for tours?
Yeah, so in 2018, convenience is king. And once upon a time, I couldn't even imagine going on a trip without a laptop. But now my phone does everything that I can do on my laptop. So mobile use is just going to steadily incline until it's dominating the market. And I don't expect that to be much longer. As far as the further out future, I believe that more and more bookings will be done through chatbots. So like on Facebook Messenger or Instagram, but that's probably for another podcast.
I actually want to talk about that really quick. As far as chatbots go, can you just like explain to everybody what a chatbot is and kind of what it does?
Yeah, so a chatbot is essentially a bot that chats with somebody on your behalf. So it's very, very smart, and it can answer questions on your behalf for a customer, or even complete bookings.
Okay, that's pretty incredible. And I know, I often talk about, and we co-wrote an article together on your guys' website about using maybe Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp to communicate with people, because those are mobile native apps. People are used to communicating on those devices, and so if somebody is working on like you said, they're working through a process, do you think that they should have maybe a link to Facebook Messenger just to communicate there, and then in the future maybe have a chatbot?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to probably be more prevalent in the future. So for people that are really interested in getting ahead, definitely now is the time to start looking on Facebook Messenger. I have yet to really complete an entire transaction on Facebook Messenger, though I have tested out various bots. Being in marketing, I try to stay on top of that kind of thing. But I personally cannot speak to what it would be like to complete an entire transaction on Facebook Messenger. I think Facebook also has to do a lot with their brand to rebuild that trust before it's sort of a mainstream thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, Facebook, of course, we're in 2018. So if you're in the future watching this, Facebook had a rough year this year.
They did. But they're working hard on the rebrand. I've seen some cute commercials. So
That's very true. That's very true. So what is coming up next for Checkfront? So we're in, this is coming out Halloween in 2018. So, what's coming up? What's in the future of Checkfront?
I think the thing that I am most excited for is a little further in the future, in early 2019. And we're actually looking at starting to host customer meetups. So we're going to start here in our hometown of Victoria. And look out for news of that in the near future, because we just can't wait to interact more with our customers.
So they're in-person meetups that you're doing. What are you looking to get out of those?
So we know that there's a huge segment of our suppliers that are not using the product to the best of its ability. It's a very complicated product. Over the last 8 years, it's evolved immensely. And, we want to help people become power users. We want to make sure that Checkfront truly is improving their business. And so it's a lot of education, learning, and then more than anything, we really want to hear from our customers face to face, more so than we attend a lot of industry events, and for sure we always get to meet suppliers, but we want more of that. We're like hungry to hang out with people person to person, just like you and I, Dustin. Like, it's way more fun in person than over Skype. More fun in person. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Well, great. I mean, we talked a lot about mobile bookings. You have a lot of data to back up, your basically the tips that you're talking about today. Is there anything that we haven't covered? Any other tips that the tour operators should know, that you discovered through your research?
I don't think so. We covered a lot. If anyone wants to actually see the study, they can just tweet at us. or they can drop me an email at marketing@checkfront.com, and we can forward them the entire study. And they can see those actual numbers. We talked pretty fast and we talked about a lot. So
we covered a lot of ground in like
we did
5 minutes.
Yeah,
that's great. So is email the best place, or Twitter? What's the best place if somebody wants to reach out to you if they've got questions?
Yeah, either email or Twitter are probably the best.
Cool, great. Yeah. Are there any final parting thoughts before we get going?
No, just happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Angela, thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, Dustin.
Bye.
Bye.